In 2026, an estimated 6 billion people, roughly 3/4 of every human being alive, will tune in to watch a single event. This global obsession began with FIFA president Jules Rimet. In 1930, he boarded a ship to South America carrying a 4-kilogram gold trophy and a specific hope that an international tournament could make a fractured post-World War I world understand its neighbors through competition rather than conflict. At the time, few shared his optimism. The Great Depression had just begun, and most European nations refused to fund the 2-week journey by ship. Rimet had to personally beg teams to attend, resulting in an inaugural field of only 13 nations. The tournament nearly vanished during the Second World War. With stadiums turned into military bases, the trophy itself only survived because an Italian official hid it in a shoebox under his bed for 3 years to keep it out of the hands of occupying forces. These near-death experiences did not kill the event, they proved its resilience. Over the next century, the World Cup grew into a rare arena where 90 minutes of play can shift a country's standing in the eyes of the world. In 1954, West Germany was a country 9 years removed from total defeat. Divided and economically depleted, the populace was still processing a sense of national shame that left them largely excluded from the international community. Their opponents in the final were Hungary's mighty Magyars. This was a team that had gone 49 matches with only a single loss, famously destroying England 7-1 just weeks before the tournament began. West German coach Sepp Herberger took a calculated risk to reach the final. He fielded a reserve side during an early group match against Hungary, accepting a humiliating 8-3 loss, specifically to ensure his starting lineup remained rested and uninjured for the knockout rounds. On the day of the final, heavy rain turned the pitch into a swamp. Herberger's team arrived with an innovation the Hungarians lacked: boots with interchangeable screw-in metal studs. This allowed the Germans to maintain their footing on the muddy terrain, while their opponents struggled to stay upright. The underdogs overturned a 2-goal deficit to win 3-2. It remains one of the largest statistical upsets in the history of the sport. This victory had an impact that reached far beyond sport. The spontaneous slogan that spread across West Germany was "Wir sind wieder wer," or "We are somebody again." Der Spiegel magazine would later argue that modern Germany was born in those 90 minutes, as it provided a shamed populace their first shared reason to celebrate a national achievement since the war. For Brazil, the stakes were just as high, but the journey began with a trauma. In 1950, they hosted the tournament and expected a coronation, only to lose the final match to Uruguay on home soil. The defeat was so profound that 3 days of national mourning were declared. The team even retired their white jerseys permanently, viewing the color as a cursed reminder of the failure. This loss forced a cultural reset. In the alleys of the favelas and on the sands of the beaches, Brazil developed Jogo Bonito, the beautiful game. This wasn't a rigid tactic, but a philosophy of play built on individual creativity and instinct. At the 1958 World Cup, a 17-year-old Pelé became the vessel for this new identity. He scored twice in the final, leading Brazil to their first title and finally replacing the memories of the 1950 defeat with the joy of a win. That 1958 victory launched an era of dominance that has lasted decades. By erasing the psychological weight of their past failure, Brazil built a footballing reputation that has resulted in a record 5 World Cup titles. As the tournament expanded, its power to legitimize nations moved beyond Europe and South America. In 1966, this reached a breaking point when every nation on the African continent refused to participate. In 1966, FIFA forced all of Africa to compete against Asia and Oceania for one single qualification spot. The boycott demanded equality. It worked. By 1970, FIFA allocated guaranteed spots for African nations, proving the tournament could be a stage to win international recognition. We saw the result of that decades-long expansion in 2022. Morocco became the first African and Arab nation to reach the semifinals, defeating former colonial powers like Spain and Portugal along the way. The image of player Achraf Hakimi celebrating with his mother sparked a transnational celebration across Africa and the Middle East. It was a moment of visibility that resonated with millions of people, regardless of their own national borders.
Jules Rimet's journey on that ship in 1930 ended in a 2026 tournament spanning 3 host countries and 48 teams. It suggests that while political borders remain, the World Cup provides a rare, persistent archive of how nations recover, reinvent themselves, and occasionally find a way to agree on the rules.